the credit for showing the flaws, as you're saying, the gray areas in Milkha Singh character goes to Milkha Singh himself. I did not even dream of that the film will cross like a total earnings around 163 crore. We are still extremely nascent as a country in telling sports biopics or biopics per se. Among my most favorite characters ever written. Not just for mythology, but across writing.
We could see you direct Shah Rukh or Aamir someday, because that has been...
Together?
Not together, independently. You have been wanting to...
I love to direct them together.
Hi guys, this is Himesh and welcome to Pinkvilla. Today we have with us Mr. Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra, celebrating 10 years of Bhaag Milkha Bhaag. Welcome to Pinkvilla, sir. It's lovely having you here.
Thank you for having me over.
So, I want to start this conversation by sharing a personal anecdote. The first film which I ever watched at a media screening was Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, but that too not as a journalist. There was a contest on Twitter and I had won that contest and I watched it in the screening. And I think it's one of the best movie watching experience that I have had in 10 years. How do you view this journey? Like, so much has changed for me from then till now, but for you, how do you view this journey?
Like we were speaking earlier, it's so amazing to be with you here and talk about Bhaag Milkha Bhaag 10 years after it's released. And like all of us, the film continues to inspire millions, and not just in our country, but across the globe. I meet people from all walks of life and they have amazing anecdotes like you have, and how the film has touched them. And it's across genders, it's across ages and stuff like that.
Right. But so back in the day, do you remember your first reaction when you came across this story, and from there you started dwelling deep into what exactly happened? What was your biggest discovery through that scripting process, the research process?
I happened to chance upon the autobiography of Milkha Singh. And it was in Gurmukhi, so an uncle of mine kind of read it and told me the gist of it. And the biggest moment for me was I requested a meeting with Milkha Singh and immediately, and he gave me time within 2 days. So I flew to Chandigarh to meet him and just to find out more in his own words about his life. And I distinctively remember I was to fly back at 5:30. The flight was to return to Bombay. And I was getting late for the flight because what I was hearing was so engrossing and drawing me in that I cancelled the flight and I stayed back in Chandigarh for 5 more days and heard him again and again tell his stories. And the journey started there. And obviously, each and every moment of making the film was very precious, of writing it, doing the music for it, then actually preparing for it, and then the whole production, pre-production, post-production of it. And then the release, and the response from the release was overwhelming. So which was, you can't ask for more after making a movie.
But so what, I mean personally what worked for me the most was you didn't even shy away from showing the flaws of Milkha Singh's life. What were your discussions like? Because after Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, there have been so many biopics which have had showing just the positive sides. But I think Bhaag Milkha Bhaag is among the very few where you have not shied away from showing things as it is. So what were the discussions like when you were making the film and you decided to take this route? Because that's what connected to people, I think so.
In fact, the credit for showing the flaws, as you're saying, the gray areas in Milkha Singh character goes to Milkha Singh himself. He never shied away from sharing his downside. But the beauty was every time the choices he made to bounce back, which I felt was amazing. हम सबसे गलतियाँ होती हैं, हम सबसे हम सबकी लाइफ में मतलब ऊंच नीच तो चलती रहती है, उतार चढ़ाव चलते रहते हैं, बट आप मिल्खा सिंह तभी बनते हो कि जब आप गिर के उठते हो और फिर आगे चल के हीरो बनते हो.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that's the message of the film as well.
जी.
That all the highs, lows, that's a part of your life.
That's a lovely point you have observed about the film. Yeah.
And so, you know, when everyone watched Milkha Singh, I think even before when you would have shown it to the industry, the test screening, the reactions would have been phenomenal in terms of what the film was. But did you expect the film to be such a big money spinner? Because I think it did 100 crore back in the day when no one expected those kind of numbers. Did you ever expect that this can blow big on the box office front when you knew you had a great film in hand?
Honestly speaking, no. I did not even dream of that the film will cross like a total earnings around 163 crores and theatrical only 123 crores and all that. But that has never been a point with me ever. I've always tried to attempt a subject with all honesty for telling that story to the best of my ability. Box office is absolutely beyond me. I'm not able to do formula stuff to keep the box office happy. So वो मेरे से होता नहीं है.
Correct. But sir, you know that was my next question. You have Rang De Basanti and Bhaag Milkha Bhaag. They are based on subjects which very few filmmakers would attempt. You attempted them and then you got the returns also with flying colors. How is it that you identify these subjects?
You draw from life and that's about it. So Rang De Basanti was about my college going years. We used to talk about changing the country. We used to criticize everything, the law and order, the corruption, but all of us grew into comfortable jobs and corporate jobs and multinationals and nobody gave back to the country. I come from an Air Force school and there used to be a MiG-21 in the foyer of the school itself, uska dhancha, and we used to see that every day. And when they started crashing and there was a documentary called Coffins and Tricolor by NDTV. That moved me a lot, made me very angry. So I drew from my own life experiences, coming from my Air Force school. Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, because I was a sportsman, my second home was National Stadium in Delhi. I was a swimmer. I used to play cricket there. And the legend of Milkha Singh, Dhyan Chand, Dara Singh was always there in the air. Our coach used to tell us, Milkha Singh used to practice so much, never complain, and what the hell are you guys doing? You are not even one paisa of what he is doing. So we heard those stories and we grew up. So it was all, and then being in Delhi, I have lived heard the stories of partition. Delhi is a place that a lot of people migrated after partition. In fact, I stayed in a refugee colony in Lajpat Nagar, which was allotted to the refugees. Obviously, now it's a marquee place. And I used to hear these horror stories. How people suffered on both sides. I always wanted to tell something, a story weaved around partition of India. And then when I came across Milkha Singh's story, it served both purposes. He was a victim of partition and a sportsman. So you draw from life. So that's where inspiration comes from.
So you just spoke about Dhyan Chand. That's another fascinating personality, one of the most iconic legends of Indian sports, hockey. Did you ever think of making a biopic on his life? Were there offers that came your way to make a biopic on Dhyan Chand?
I've never got an offer, but whether it has crossed my mind or not, most certainly I would like to tell that story. Or I would like to be a spoke in the wheel of telling that story. Even if somebody else is telling it and they want me to be a part of it, any which way, whether to as a writer, as a executive producer, as a creative producer, I will give my right arm for it. And it's absolutely an iconic person of our generation and from this country who ruled the world when he played. He was a magician.
True. And so, like I started this conversation by saying the trend of biopics in Bollywood started with Bhaag Milkha Bhaag. How do you view the transition of biopic from then, 2013 till now? What do you think has changed on the biopic front as a genre?
It's changed. So with Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, what the film did is it definitely opened our eyes and our minds, and the blinkers fell off. Not because I was a part of the film, but it happens with some movies. And the audiences got the taste that a hero doesn't have to be, a hero-heroine love story with a villain in between. There can be many other facets to be the hero of the film. So the audiences loved it. That, in turn, I guess, propelled the producers and storytellers and directors and studios to tell more and more stories because they saw good business happening there. Yeah.
Correct. But do you believe, of course, the business aspects aside, do you believe there has been a transition in the way stories are told on the biopic front through the years?
We are still extremely nascent as a country in telling sports biopics or biopics per se. We try and portray only very high achievers. Sometimes even a loser can have a very amazing journey. Loser in the sense who's not so much in the public eye as such. So all those things are very important for me to tell a human story, not necessarily a story of a winner, not necessarily of a story of a cricketer who scored 50 centuries, but tell a story of a cricketer who tried all his life and maybe became a greater coach than the player.
Correct. There was one which we saw which was something similar to the Praveen Tambe biopic. It shows the journey and
what a beautiful film that is. And what a lovely attempt and what a beautiful story told.
True. And so, there has been so much discussion around your reunion with Farhan. Are you planning something for the third time with him after Tufan or?
We really enjoy working with each other. In the sense, we understand each other's silences, so we don't even have to discuss a lot. And I think we bring out the best in each other. And so right now we are 2 films old. And I hope we can carry on and make many more together.
And so, next for you is Karna. What fascinated you to, direct a film in this space? It's a period epic, basically.
It is one of the subjects I want to make. Not just now, but I've been at it since Rang De Basanti. I've been discussing it with my friends, my actors, my technicians, that this is the story I want to tell. Now the script is done, but along with it, there are 2 more scripts. So let's see which one gets made first, because the universe has to conspire.
Correct.
He's a fascinating character. Among my most favorite characters ever written, not just for mythology, but across writing. And there's something very Shakespearean about him, very Shakespearean tragedy about him. Also, I must share, with the completion of 10 years of Bhaag Milkha Bhaag, we have a special screening on the 26th for the cast and crew and Milkha Sir's family. It's a homage for Milkha Singh. As a Shraddhanjali for him. And our producer P.S. Bharti has also adapted the film for the hearing impaired. So now the film is also being designed in ISL, which is the Indian Sign Language.
Okay.
So it's much more inclusive, and that is being released in 30 cities
Okay.
across India on 6th of August in PVR theatres.
Oh.
So people who could not hear the film
Back in the
now, they will see it in their language, which is the Indian Sign Language.
Okay. And it's releasing on 6th
of
6th
August.
Okay.
6th of August, 30 cities
Okay.
in PVR theatres.
Oh, nice. I think a lot of people would watch it who have skipped it back in the day.
Yeah, but more importantly, new audiences will get joined to it.
True.
Who cannot hear, you see.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. And so before we wrap up, last couple of questions. There has been a talk about Surya. You have been speaking to Surya. Any truth to that for Karna, or what?
Let's discuss that on another platform.
Okay.
Today is a Bhaag Milkha Bhaag celebration day.
Perfect. And before we wrap up, sir, two things. Like the minute I told in my office that I'm interviewing you, there were so many people who wanted to know that, if we could see you direct Shah Rukh or Aamir someday, because that has been
Together?
not together, independently. You have been wanting to.
I love to direct them together. Yeah, no, 100%.
You tried that.
I adore Shah Rukh.
Yeah.
And Aamir is a soulmate.
Yeah.
And I love both of them for what they are and what they represent.
Yeah.
And I think it will be fireworks when we collaborate.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
And on that note, thank you so much, sir. It was lovely speaking to you, and wish you all the best for the re-release of Bhaag Milkha and your upcoming projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaskar, I'm Rakeysh Omprakash Mehra, and you're watching me on Pinkvilla.